Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm your average gamer. We're back in Snowrunner today for a little bit different kind of video, folks. As you'll know if you've been following my channel, we recently completed the last contracts and the last contests in Season 11, which means that we're now waiting on the release of Season 12, which is due to be either late January or early February, is the latest that I've heard. If I had to guess, I would say it would probably be the earlier of the two, due to the fact that Expeditions, a Mudrunner game, is coming out, as far as I know, the first week of March the 7th or the 8th, I think. Don't quote me on that. That's what I've heard, but it's definitely in the first week of March. So you would think that in order to distance the new DLC in Snowrunner and the new game Expeditions, that they would want to release that as early as possible. But that's pure speculation on my part, folks. So we shall wait with bated breath to see that. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to Season 12. Haven't decided yet whether I'm going to be investing in Expeditions, but I may well do. But that's a few months down the line just yet. So to fill in the time, I thought that starting in Season 9 and then doing Season 10 and 11, I would just do a quick review of the season, what the maps are like, the terrain, and the trucks that you get included with the DLCs. And this is just basically my opinions. I'll stress that first and foremost. It's clearly just my opinion, folks. You may feel differently, you may hate them, you may love them. That's entirely up to you. But this is how I've felt playing these each of these seasons. So, as I say, we'll be starting today in Season 9. We've got my beautiful Dairy Special in front of us. I'll just give a quick overview of what you have to do in Season 9. There are the two maps. Where do I find it? Yeah, the first map is Albany River, of which there are 16 tasks. And the second map, Burn Forest, which we'll be driving to shortly, there are 15 tasks on that map. And overall there are 27 contracts available across the two maps, and two contests, only the two contests, one of which are on each map. I've not actually done those in Season 9, so I will go back and do them at some point. Been busy with Season 11, so just to tie up the loose odds and ends. So let's just have a quick look at Albany River while we're here. You have these warehouses, are places where there are some materials stored, and you can use them for the tasks that are on this particular map. The main place that I would suggest should be unlocked as soon as possible, it's one of the contracts. I think there are other contracts you have to do before you get to this stage to be able to activate this, but the railway station warehouse is the spot where it gives you access to just being able to pick up all of these different items, as many as you want, whenever you want. And there's also the plant, which is a crafting facility to where you can get cabins or create cabins and consumables which you'll need to do tasks and contracts, specifically contracts, I think, in the case of the crafted stuff. So you may find that once you've unlocked that, it would be worth taking a few of the bits that are required to do the crafting of the cabins and consumables from here to here. And if you do that, as I say, if you do that in bulk a few times, then you'll know that you've got yourself covered for the rest of the tasks and contracts that you may need the materials you can get there for. So yeah, as you can see, there are water towers dotted around this area. We'll get onto those a little bit later on when we get across the across the map and go to Burned Forest. What should we do next? So I think what we will do, let's just come out of this. Yeah, so this is the first of the trucks that you get included with the DLC. The Derry Special 15C177. I've got it, as you would probably be considering using it on this map, in its firefighting format with its customised fire tank on the back, and it does look magnificent, this truck. So let's take this truck over to the gateway to the other map, and we'll just talk about the terrain on the maps, because overall the terrain is boggy but not tricky, I would call it. Whoops, knocking down a road sign. There we go, that's disappeared. Sometimes they can stick in the ground and can become a little bit glitched, but I got away with it there. Yeah, the terrain is capable of being traversed by in-game trucks without too much difficulty. There are some areas that are a little bit tricky. They've got inclines and so on. A lot of the terrain is, as you see here, it's a little bit soft and boggy, and it may well slow you down a fair bit. But overall, in-game trucks are fine to be used in this season, I found. Obviously, if you are using modded trucks in your games, then they'll have probably an easier time. But for those who want the challenge and the realism of using the in-game trucks, you can do that on this season. And as you can see, we're now into what I'm guessing must be the Albany River. Oh, let's get the camera around. It's beautiful scenery. That's another aspect to these maps. They are beautifully designed and they do look stunning. So there are a fair few of these river crossings which have rocks and soft mud in them, so you may get slowed down. Different trucks are affected in different ways, as is the case across the game really. But this Derry Special, as you can see in high gear, is not the fastest vehicle in the world. It has a decent power to weight ratio, just over A. I think it's A+. Let me just stop and see what it says. Yeah, currently it's A+. I haven't got it filled with water, but that would probably drop to about an A if it was filled with water. Got a decent sized fuel tank, and it does have 120 litres of fuel that you can put in the roof rack, which I decided to do because I always do. I get paranoid about running out of petrol. As you can see, these beautiful river vistas. But while this truck may be slow, it's certainly capable. There's not a lot that seems to be able to stop it. This is terrain just here that stops many a truck in its tracks with these rocks and deep water, but not this Derry Special. She just keeps on going. And again, more terrain that is very, very similar. Slows you down, soft mud, but you do make progress. This route that I'm actually driving is what I found to be the most direct route from the garage on this map to the gateway to the western gateway to Burned Forest. and a lot of it is this kind of terrain. It's a little bit soft, slow going. Come on, Derry Special. This is actually a truck that you can get by completing a task, and you can get this quite early in your play of season 9. I remember when I started recording videos for Snowrunner, one of the early episodes was me retrieving this Derry Special with my 605R, towing it back along this very route. Yeah, this is one of the toughest spots on this route. Rocky and hilly, and it's cambered. But although we're making slow progress, we are making progress. So that's the main thing. There she goes. Yeah, tree roots as well. Tree roots are more of an issue in season 10, which we'll get onto in the next video. But yeah, they can be a pain, those tree roots. It does seem, and I really do like this aspect, that the weight of a truck does greatly affect how it performs on the terrain in this map. Ooh, here's a little soft piece of ground. I think there are tree trunks or rocks underneath, but yeah, didn't even need to switch out of high gear. Most trucks will get stuck in that particular bit, and you have to sort of scoot round the side of that pond. This is another tricky bit where there are rocks on this little crest, and it's very soft mud here, and there's gradient as well. Again, the old Derry Special just keeps on plugging through. I do love the way it looks as well in this guise with the fire tanks on it. It looks fantastic. I just wish it was a little bit faster. So yeah, we'll be jumping into the second of the trucks that are available on this season, the 566A, which again you can unlock via a task on the second map, which again I found quite early in my when I was doing my scouting in the first episodes of my season 9 adventures, which you can find on my channel. So do go back and take a look at those. So if you want a little bit of a further insight into what this season was like to play, and it's left here. This is a tricky, soft, muddy bit, if I recall. There is a fuel station on the eastern side of the map. We'll take a look at the map again when I get to the gateway. But yeah, there is a fuel station on the eastern side of the map where there's a tarmac road. But that isn't a great deal of use, that fuel station, I'm afraid, because it's just not in the right spot compared to where you need to be driving a lot of the time. Let's say I'm heading almost directly away from it in driving to this gateway. You can get to the other gateway, which is locked. Again, you have to complete a contract to unlock the northern gateway. So this gateway that I'm going to is the one that you would be using more often at the start of your gameplay. And I certainly only use the northern gateway right at the very end of completing the last of the contracts and so on. Another river crossing. It's beautiful. I must say that all three of the seasons so far on in the Year 3 pass have been beautiful. Terrain and scenery. It's been a pleasure just to drive around the terrain, however tricky it turned out to be. It's just stunning, especially with the various different coloured trees, the greens and the oranges and the browns. It's beautiful. Ooh, some rocks. So, once we get over this particular river crossing, we'll be getting into the region of the burnt forest area. Although obviously the other map is called burnt forest, there is actually some burnt forest on this map. The tree trunks that are on the roads can be quite annoying, but they've basically ever been thus in these games. And tree stumps as well. You have to be careful with the tree stumps. Some tasks you do have to venture into the woodland in order to complete them. There's some burned logs you have to collect from a burnt log station within the woods, and that can be a little bit of a test to get to. Come on, Derry Special, we'll get there eventually. Just keep plugging away. Yeah, not got a great deal of suspension travel this truck really, so finding traction can be a little bit of an issue with regard to it slowing you down. But do have permanent all-wheel drive and a diff lock available should go and get really rough. Decent turning circle for such a large truck. Yeah, you can hear the crackling of the cinders in the trees as well. It's very good. This burnt forest area looks very nice. It looks as it would were it a burnt forest. Let's put my lights on. It's a little bit gloomy in the forest as well. So yeah, I've used this. There's one of those tree trunks. I have used the Derry Special a few times for a few tasks, usually heavy duty stuff. I've not used it to tow any big trailers, but I used it with a heavy crane and it coped very well on season 11. Again, there's videos of that in action on my channel. Quite a steep ascent, not like there are in well, certainly not as frequently as there are in season 10, but some tricky ascents. Need a bit of grunt to make it up them, a bit of care to come down them as well. It's got decent fuel consumption as well for such a big vehicle. It's slightly better than the Mack Defence, though not as fast. Yeah, it's very atmospheric, this part of the map. As I say, we'll look at the map again in a little while when I get to the gateway. We'll drive through and then drive up to where I've parked my Zix and take that for a spin. But yeah, I suppose it comes down to personal preference, folks. If you are a fan of these big trucks and you like to use them and you're not bothered about the slight lack of speed in comparison with other trucks, then as I say, we've not had any trouble with the terrain in this truck and the journey so far, and there is some tricky stuff around on this journey. These are warehouses that do contain some materials, but you have to repair the warehouses first as part of contracts, and then come and take the materials and store them elsewhere. For example, in your in the plant where you can do your crafting. So we're not a million miles away from the gateway now, folks. As I say, it's not been a difficult journey from a terrain point of view, but it has taken a while from a speed point of view. So just got to get up around this next right hand bend you can see up ahead. There you go, signposted for the tunnel. Very pretty. See the contrast between the burnt forest and the regular forest. It's fantastically designed, it really is. Yeah, this is very slow, this truck. Nearly on tarmac. Yeah, the gateway is just ahead, folks, so we're nearly there. So that's our little demonstration of the capability of the Derry Special. As I say, the Mac Defence for me from season 10 is probably the best of all the trucks so far that I've used. But yeah, this would probably be second, I think. From a pure capability point of view, I don't like really high speed in the trucks that I use, but at least a decent level of speed. And this is just a little bit too slow for me personally to be. It does grate with me after a little while, but yeah, overall, from a capability point of view, as I say, one of the best that you get in any of the seasons. So let's just take a quick look at the map. So yeah, there's the burned log station. You have to take some burned logs and deliver them. I can't remember exactly where you have to deliver them. Yeah, this is a mine down here with a little tricky route. There are some soft and boggy bits in there, but that's not too bad a journey. What do we have over here? Yeah, this route, to a lesser extent, this route, are quite tricky. Varied terrain. There's steep cambers and rocks and soft muddy bits with quite angled entrances and exits to them. So they're quite tricky. Yeah, but on this side of the map, yeah, here's the fuel station where one of the two tasks on the region are. But that's, as you can see, that's kind of stuck out of the way. If you're going to be going and doing stuff with over here with these water towers, or going over here, you really need to be taking fuel with you. There are fuel traders dotted around places. There was one in the railway station warehouse, and there was one down here by their service hub, and so on. But yeah, if you're planning certainly of doing much on burned forest, you really do need to consider taking some fuel with you. That would be my recommendation. Yeah, this gateway is locked and has to be opened via a contract from the other side of the gateway, so from the burned forest side. So yeah, but all of this is tarmac road with a tiny little spot here, which is that's quite a tricky little spot because there's rocks in the road and it's very, very cambered. But other than that, all of this is tarmac. You have to build this bridge, one of the contracts, and there's that gateway. So let's head through the gateway to Burned Forest and take a quick look. Have a little talk about that. Have a quick drink. There we go. Again, a very, very pretty map. that down there is a warehouse, which I thought originally, if you've seen the video, I thought it was a garage, and I got excited, but then I realised there wasn't a garage on this map. So let's just drive down the road a ways a little bit to where I park my Zix. We'll talk a little bit about that after we've looked at the map. There are some tarmac road sections here, but I would say the terrain is perhaps slightly tougher on this map than on Albany River. And here's my Zix. Right, let's shut that down. Let's just refuel that while we're here. There we go, Derry Special. Fuel trailer. There we go. So I brought some fuel with me when I brought my Zix over, because it's... I drove this Zix just now from the garage to the gateway, and then obviously to here, and it basically ran out of fuel just before it got to the gateway, just before it changed to the tarmac road leading to the gateway on the first map, Albany River. So that is one disadvantage of this truck, is that it doesn't have the biggest fuel tank. Again, you can fit fuel supplies on the roof. I believe you can fit fuel supplies on the roof, but I don't appear to have that. I think that may be because I've got the fire tank on the back, but this is full, the fire tank on this. And again, this proved very capable. So it's, as long as you're aware of the fuel situation with the truck and you take appropriate measures, it's again very, very capable. As we shall see, we'll take a little trip up, and then maybe down through to the farm area, just so you can see. So yeah, this is burnt forest. Main burnt element is over here. It's factory here, where you have to put out fires. There is a lot of work that requires water transportation, and from that point of view, we come to the elephant in the room, folks. My main criticism of this region is that let's just go down here to buildings. As you can see, you've got all of these water towers. Now, all but a couple of those have to be built, and they take long journeys. As you can see, these ones are quite out, and you've got to travel on quite a long way on difficult terrain, and obviously there's no fuel station or garage on this map, so you have to take that into account. Excuse me. But as you can see, that says storage zone water. Storage zone water, and this is the main problem that I have. When you build these water towers and you need to use water all the way up here to put fires out these burned warehouses and in this old factory here, you build the water towers, and when you're doing that, you're building the infrastructure and all the piping and everything like that, so you would think that the towers would have water available, but they don't. Where it says they're storage towers, they do not have any water in them. So there are only a couple of places that you can actually get water from, and that's really quite frustrating, because it means you have to take a very, very long journey, potentially with heavy trailers. You could use modded trailers, I know I did, to carry as much water as possible. So it just makes having to build all of these water towers pointless from the point of view of them actually having the capacity to give you water, which you do need to use in this region. I mean, if it had given me the option, if this water tower had water in it, and I might choose to go from there to deliver the water, it gives me a choice as to where I want to deliver the water from, and therefore how difficult a journey I've got, and so on. But that was the real low point for me, because especially if you find that out the hard way and you don't realise that, and you think, oh, I've got to put the fire out over here, so I'll just go to a water tower here and it's really local and I've just got to pop up the road to put the fires out. And it's like, no, you drive all the way over there to collect water and there's no water there. So then you've basically wasted your time, which I think I was very disappointed with that aspect, I have to say. But you do get the satisfaction of transporting the cargo to build these water towers anyway, and to obviously get 100% completion of all the contracts. So there is that aspect. So it's down to personal preference. If that's the sort of thing that would annoy you, I'll just say prepare yourself for that. And when you find the water towers that do give you water without having any limit, you will be able to make your plans to put the fires out as required in the tasks and contracts using those. But I'll just say bear that in mind, and it could be annoying if you didn't realise, as was the situation for me. Yeah. So moving on. Yes, you've got there's warehouse here. Where was the other warehouse? Oh yeah, it's the one down here, isn't it? And this warehouse here, you do get materials in that of a certain number that you can use again for different contracts and tasks. It's worth looking at where delivery points might be on the map, so that you can choose which warehouse you would prefer to pick them up from. Otherwise you'd give yourself a longer drive, but again, that's personal preference. I didn't make any special allowances for that and just picked the cargoes that were there as and when I found them in each warehouse and just planned from there. So as I say, you need to prepare with fuel for this map because there isn't much on here, so just makes it more of an experience, I would say. You have a sawmill here where you can get different kinds of planks, but again you have to build that sawmill, or not build the sawmill, you have to repair the sawmill via a contract before you can use it. So there is a fair bit of prep work that you have to do before you can get into the meat of the work, which I like on these on the new region. It helps you to explore and get to know the region and the terrain and the best routes and so on. So let's just take this 6 up for a quick drive. How are we doing for time here? Just over half an hour. Just take this up for a quick drive just to demonstrate some of the terrain on this particular map. This is a hillier map, and there are quite a lot of rockier outcrops and steep ascents and descents, and there are the odds muddy pool that you have to negotiate and pick your route through. But again, it's while you have to plan and be prepared for your journeys on this region, it's all very doable, and in-game trucks as well, vanilla trucks if you like. So this is a tricky little spot if I remember. Yeah, this was sort of soft and there's rocks and so on. See how deep the wheels are sinking into the mud there. So you'll be driving along and you're on just like terrain like this where it's not too bad, and then you come to a point like that and you might get stuck, and if there's no trees around, so you do have to keep your wits about you on this on these maps. But yeah, so steep climbs, cambered roads, rocks, tree roots. It's really, really enjoyable. And as I've said before, the fact that you can you can play the game with in-game trucks or modded trucks. Gives you the option to have a real challenge on your hands. This is a tricky little bit as well. This is off camber, and there's rocks here, and if you've got a big heavy load you can very easily tip over here, he says, talking through the tears of having experienced that. But yeah, again, it's absolutely beautiful terrain and beautiful scenery, rocky outcrops, the forests, and so on. Now, which way was I going to head? Where am I? Oh, let's just keep going. But yeah, so this truck again looks good in its fire truck livery, and despite the slightly smaller fuel tank, is again very, very capable. Oh, here's a nice little swampy bit to test it. So you get these little spots are dotted around on the map. Let's see how fast you can get in high gear. Just going to try and blast my way through. Go on, truck. Oh, can it get through? Certainly can, folks. Look at that. So yeah, so this, let's just stop a sec and see what the, yes, this has got an S plus power to weight ratio, even pulling this fuel carrier trailer and being full of water. So yeah, this is a capable truck. I may well put this at number 3 on the on my list of most capable trucks from season 3. From the year 3 pass overall, after the Mac Defence and its counterpart here, the Derry Special. Yeah, so here you go. Look, tricky. You have to be careful here with, especially if you're pulling a big trailer or using a semi-trailer. Whoops. So it's as challenging as it is rewarding. That's the way I would put it. So yeah, I would recommend season 9 if you're the sort of person who would prefer to use in-game trucks, or someone who wants to just wants a new challenge that's not too tough but still requires a bit of thought and preparation and care. Not that I've been careful in my driving. I've never been careful in my driving, but yeah, I would recommend season 9. It's a very good season, as long as you're aware that you will be spending a lot of time building water towers and travelling with heavy cargo to a lot of different places for, as it turns out, no good reason from the point of view of their usefulness, which, as I said, was very disappointing for me. But you can't have everything, folks, I guess, and that's the way that the developers wanted it. Maybe they just wanted more of a challenge so that you would be more inclined to use these in-game trucks with their built-in water tanker configurations, and that makes sense to me. I can understand that. So yeah, it was disappointing to find out the hard way, but having done it now, I did enjoy building the water towers despite them not being useful. So yeah, so I think as we head out to where the farm is, we'll try and find a nice spot to park so we get a good view for the outro. I think I will call it a day there for this first review of the Year 3 past seasons with Season 9. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. Just a little bit of very basic information and a very quick overview. As I say, all the opinions are just my own, and it's, as I say, I've recorded, I played some of this on camera and some off camera. I've played Season 10 off camera, but I've played all of Season 11 on camera. So yeah, it's just been very interesting. So yeah, let's just stop there. Give it a toot on the horn. There we go. With a nice view over the farm and the flooded fields and the hills and the trees. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, so as I say again, I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. If you could hit like and subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode, that would be tremendously helpful for me and my channel. And I'll just say thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you all on the next one. Cheerio.